Well, good morning. How are you all today? Should you carry? That's what I want to talk about right now. By the way, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith, and it is 3 weeks from today for the first annual Integrative Preparedness Stonemont Get Together, the gathering in Lenexa, Kansas. I may talk about that more later, but if you want to come, you need to register. It doesn't cost anything, but you need to register because we need to know how many people are coming for a couple of reasons. And you can do that by going to the Stonemont website, stonemont.us, and go over to the events tab and punch it and get yourself registered, and we'll look forward to seeing you. I want to talk about a little bit more about this Fordyce, Arkansas shooting and what it means as far as you carrying and what you carry and when you carry and all that. One thing that I found interesting was when I checked all the aggregators this morning, this shooting was not up at the top of and I only found it on one, actually. I only found it on Drudge. It might be in the others, but I didn't see it, and it was way down, way down the line of things that are happening. I found that interesting, so I had to kind of search, get a little bit more information, what we know so far, or what they're telling us so far, which is, I mean, yes, we know what they're telling us, doesn't mean it's the truth. So some guy, what was his name? Travis Eugene Posey, 40-year-old guy from a little place called New Edinburgh, Arkansas, which is just a little unincorporated area southeast, as I checked on the map, southeast of where this thing happened, in Fordyce, which is a little town in southern Arkansas, 3,396 people, I think, is what it said. So Posey, for some reason, drives up to the Mad Butcher grocery store in Fordyce, and they say the only thing that I've read so far, and it could be right, could be wrong, about what kind of weapon he had was somebody said he came in with a shotgun. Now one of the pictures that I saw, it does indicate it looks like a shotgun. I mean, one of the patterns that I see a window, yeah, it looks like a shotgun. I've always said that shotguns are extremely effective, and they are. It's one of my favorite weapons. But and the idea that he came away with 3 kills and 10 wounded, that doesn't surprise me at all. If it was a shotgun he was using, it might be why we're not hearing all about this all over the news, because it wasn't one of the big bad ugly guns. It wasn't a pistol and it wasn't an AR, so they can't make hay about it. Who knows? We might find out different later. That's just the thing that immediately occurs to me. So this is. Would you think, if you were a Fordyce resident and you lived in a little bitty town of 3,000 people, and you were going down to your friendly grocery store to pick up your beanie weenies and a can of Skoal, that you were going to get into a shootout? Probably not. And that's the problem with people assuming safety in situations that they're used to dealing with. Familiarity breeds contempt, and so it's just the same thing that you go down into the hood. Every time there's a shooting or a home invasion or anything down in a hood, the news people will go down there and they'll find a couple of people that they can interview and ask them how they feel about it, and everything. And you'll always get these people saying, I can't believe that it happened here. This is a nice neighborhood. This is a nice, we're friendly around here. People it just breaks my heart that this happened in our neighborhood. You're thinking, my God, you live in Gang Central and you think that your neighborhood is a nice place full of nice people. Now, it might be full of nice people. There are plenty of nice people in the hood. Let me just put that. I worked the hood for years and lived close to it. Know a lot of people. There's a lot of nice folks there. I'll be real honest. They'll do anything in the world for you. But you know what? There's enough of the other kind that make it a place you don't want to go. Well, anyway, everybody has this idea that wherever they live or wherever they're used to going is a nice place. You just get acclimated to it, and it becomes kind of your world, and you're comfortable in your world, right? I want to tell you now. I'll tell you a story, and this comes back to should you carry and when you should carry. And I don't know if I'll get into what you should carry. I'm going to do another one on that about choosing handguns for beginners later on. And it's going to upset all the people who think that 9mm is an effective round. I was some years ago, I don't know, probably 7-8 years ago, I was still working at the hospital in security, and and this young kid came up to me. He was a nurse in the ER department. Nice kid, big kid, 6'4", muscles, man, looked like he was a young guy. He was married and just expecting his first kid. And I thought, this guy's got it. He's got it going, right? I mean, and he looked like he spent half his time in the gym and the other time with his family. Very nice guy, and he was pretty quiet, and I always kind of liked him. And he was listening to. He wouldn't get involved in the conversations very much, but there were some other guys there in the ER that we'd get into conversations quite a bit. Some in security, some nurses, some doctors. And we'd talk about, preparedness and firearms and things like this. And this kid was always kind of listening in. And one day I was standing back in the galley having a cup of coffee, and he kind of came up to me and he says, do you think that I should carry a gun? And I said, well, I think that everybody should carry a gun. So, yeah. He said, and then his next question was, he said, well, I've been thinking about it, but he says, and his next question really surprised me. And it was, well, how much does your gun weigh? And I thought, well, I don't know. I know there are these people who just, live and die by these little inconsequential factoids. How much does your gun weigh? This one is 3 ounces less than the other one, and what's the weight loaded versus unloaded, and what's the weight of a loaded magazine? Guys, if you're new to guns, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people out there talk about guns all the time. They're really new to guns because everything they think they know, it comes out of a magazine or the kid behind the gun counter, and so they're misled on a lot of things. If you want to learn about guns, to get it from people who made their living carrying guns, me being one of them. If you want to learn about handguns, listen to the ones who carried handguns for most of the time, which is usually law enforcement. If you want to know about rifles, go to the ones who carried rifles for a living, usually military, and there's a breakdown there, and I won't get into that now. So I said, well, I don't know how much it weighs what it weighs. He said, what kind is it? And I explained to him. I said, well, I carry, I explained to him the trade-off between capacity and caliber and all that. Most of you, if you've been with me, you know that my preferred is a .45 auto, and I love the 1911. I always have carried 1911 since I was 22, and but I often carry a Smith Striker Fire 40. It's simply for the capacity, and in another one I'll be talking about how I'm moving up to 10mm and the reasons for that. Maybe I'll get into that here. I don't know. So he says, he shook his head, and he says, well, do you think it weighs 2 pounds? I says, I have no idea. I don't care. Who cares how much a gun weighs? And right now, there's going to be a lot of people out there. See, here's why I don't want you new people to be misled. There will be people out there wanting to type in, well, it matters how much it weighs because you're not going to carry a gun that's too heavy. Maybe I'll get into the fallacy of that argument. There is the school of thought that you won't carry a gun unless it's comfortable to carry. Okay, and that's kind of where he was going with this, and I think this idea that needing a gun to be comfortable, that's insane. Okay, there's nothing comfortable about carrying a 2 pound or however much they weigh. I don't know. I don't care. Uh, 2 pound hunk of metal around, no matter how you carry it, is not going to be comfortable at first. It's something that you get used to, and then you don't think about it anymore. Okay, those of you who carry daily and remember that when you first started carrying, uh, you thought everybody in the world knew you were carrying a gun, right? Because you do. It was number one in your mind. It was always the weight there, whether it was on your belt or stuck in your pants or whatever. It was always on your mind because you were feeling it. And as a result, you thought the whole world was looking at you and thinking that you were carrying a gun. And nobody cares. Nobody knows. Nobody pays attention. Okay, that's the thing. Uh, but this idea that carrying a gun should be comfortable is why so many people carry small, ineffective guns. They carry a gun that's too small to adequately handle, that it doesn't have the capacity, and it's of a sub-effective caliber, like a 9 millimeter or below. And right now, if you're new, you'll probably see somebody come on and leave a comment that, well, 9 millimeter is perfectly effective, and that's why the FBI uses it. And come back and watch the one when I talk about um, choosing a handgun for beginners. And maybe I'll throw in right here. I took, as some of you know, I took my 12-year-old daughter over to the range the other day. It was her first time shooting, and she handled my 40 cal Smith & Wesson SD and my 45 Smith Shield and my 45 1911 Springfield Armory government model 5-inch. She handled them fine. Those are both effective calibers. I guess we are kind of getting into a lesson here. Hey, you want to carry a 9 millimeter because it's better than nothing? I do it. I don't care anymore. I'm done trying to argue with this stuff. And if you want to trust your life to something that's simply better than nothing, have at it. Sharp stick is better than nothing. Whatever. So back to this kid. He said, "Well, I don't know." He says, "I just don't. I just don't want. It seems like something." Carrying around a gun all the time. I mean, it's heavy, and I mean, this kid looked like he could pick up my truck, and he's complaining to me about the weight of a gun, being uncomfortable. And we kind of went back, and I just wasn't getting it. I says, man, I mean, it's your responsibility to provide for your safety, and your wife, and now your little kid. I mean, if you're out doing something, if you're out somewhere and something happens, why would you not want to be able to protect yourself, however much it weighs? I don't care how much it weighs. It weighs 5 pounds. If it's what could save your life and the life of your family, what do you care how much it weighs? Well, he started getting a little argumentative, and finally, just kind of, it started off as a very, nice conversation, and I tried to explain. I says, you will get used to it. Don't worry about it. Carry a gun. Carry a big enough gun. Carry enough gun. That's what it is. Carry enough gun. And if you need it, you'll have it. And if you don't need it, you'll get used to carrying it, and just make it a part of your life. I mean, people carry backpacks all over the place, right? People used to carry briefcases all over the place. Women carry their purses all over the place. Nowadays people are carrying their water bottles all over the place. So you get used to it. Well, he finally, he just shaking his head and shaking his head. And once he'd found out that it might weigh a couple of pounds, I think that did it for him. And finally he just said, well, I don't want to have to carry a gun every day of my life. I thought, wow, man. You see, they jump to that. I don't want to have to carry a gun for the rest of my life. Why? In order to provide safety and security for you and yours? And other innocent people around you? You know what he said? But I'm glad that people like you do. Good Lord. And I got pretty straight with him at that point. I said, you got to be kidding me, man. You are glad that I carry a gun, so in case I happen to be around when your family's threatened, I will assume the responsibility of defending your family. So you're putting the defense of your family in somebody else's hands, strangers. Now, if you see the situation down at the Mad Butcher in Fordyce, uh, did you hear of anybody in there with a gun that fought back until law enforcement got there? I didn't. I mean, maybe so, but I haven't heard of it. Have you? Please leave it in the comments if you have. I haven't. Where are all these people that are always making so much noise about try that in a small town? Or they'd never get away. That never happened here. What just happened? Again. And I understand that small towns have their problems. Just in yesterday's video, I read a bunch of comments about people who tell me they live in far small towns. They're crime ridden. They're full of drugs. I know they're full of drugs. All these small towns are full of meth. They're full of high unemployment. People not being able to pay the bills. People, relying on government subsidies. I know small towns are in many ways extremely dangerous because of the mental issues going on there. So knowing that, I mean, why wouldn't that place be full of people carrying? Now, that really does astound me. It really does. I mean, here I talk about my neighborhood again. I'm gonna keep pounding that because people need to understand this. If somebody came into this neighborhood and I don't know, tried to do anything in this neighborhood, let's see. The people that I know, the guy in the corner carries. The guy the next door, both he and his wife carry. My next door neighbor doesn't, but I'm trying to get him to. Well, my house. Go across, carry, marine across that, carry, no, carry. Yeah, the vast majority of people here carry. And, we all go to the same grocery store. If it happened at the grocery store down the street from me, it'd work out much different than it did in Fordyce. But I think this is because people have this tendency, as I said at the beginning, to become complacent. They get comfortable with where they live, and they assume that it's a safe place. And then all of a sudden, it becomes not a safe place, and nobody's ready. When I tell people to carry, and this isn't just me, it's most people will tell you this. Carry means carry. It means carry all the time. I've told a story about a good friend of mine. It took me years, and he was a former prosecutor. He should have known, about all the horrible things that happened. And it took me a couple of years to get him to carry. And he said, "Well, I just don't want to have to be carrying all the time, much like this kid." But I said, "Well, I to be honest, I guess I'd prefer. I don't even think about it anymore, but because I've carried for 49 years now, and if I could know when I would need it, I would only take it then. But you don't know. See, that's the thing. You don't know. You will never know until it happens. Now, the chances are that you will never have to use it. Those are the overwhelming chances. You will probably never get in a gunfight or have to use your gun, to protect yourself or others. 95% probably, maybe higher. I don't know. But if that one time happens and you don't have it, the people who rely on you are going to be paying for it for the rest of their lives. You have car insurance. You don't expect, well, maybe you do, I don't know. You have homeowners insurance. You don't expect your house to burn down, unless you're running a meth lab in it. You have all these insurances. Not because you expect them to happen, but in case they do happen. So here, carry. Now, I will address one thing. How am I doing? Yeah, okay, I'm okay on time. I will address one thing, and that is who should carry. My opinion is that everyone should carry. Now, here's a question. Should you carry if you haven't been trained? you know what? You should get trained. It doesn't mean you have to go be a gunfighter. It doesn't mean you have to go to some special school. Have somebody train you who knows what they're doing, whether it's a formal class or somebody that just knows what they're doing. Have them train you in gun safety and gun handling, and get out there and just work at it until you can hit what you shoot at. You know, people have been great shots long before there were all these fancy schmancy schools that every retired special operator opened up, and it's easy to do. Most people were trained to shoot, by their dads and their granddads and their uncles and things like that, and it works just fine. So have somebody who knows what they're doing train you, and get comfortable with it, and then go and make sure that you go over to a range someplace or out in the woods and get into where you can hit what you aim at. And then understand also that no matter how much training you have, and there's something called a training scar, and that is you will get used to doing things how you're doing it, and if you're doing it wrong, you're going to develop that habit. The only reason I say that is because there's too many people that I think spend loads and loads and loads of money on these fancy shooting schools that think they're trained to shoot under stress, and they're not, because only experience gives you the experience. Okay, and life isn't shoot. When it comes down to it, you're not going to be shooting at a target. Much more important to develop your awareness and your mental ability. I'm not going to get into that. I concentrate on training people mental visualization, and that goes a long way. So get comfortable, be able to hit what you're shooting at. Choose a weapon that is effective. Don't worry about this BS that people will tell you, and somebody will come on here and say it's not BS, it's the fact, because I was told by that kid behind the counter with the pimples that whatever. Get something that's effective, and that means 40 cal up, 40, 45, 10 mil, 357 Magnum. I love revolvers. 41 and 41 Magnum, way too much to handle for most people. Don't worry about those. Revolver, you give up in capacity, just like you do with a 1911. So I would suggest, you have capacity. That's why I carry on a daily basis. When I only carry one, and during the wintertime, I often carry two. In the wintertime, my primary is a 45, 1911, and I always carry a striker fired 40 for capacity in case I run out. Have I ever run out? Nope. But that's also why I'm so carry something with sufficient effectiveness, 40 or 45, with a capacity up there in the teens. Okay, that would be my suggestion. And like I mentioned, I'm moving to a 10. I'll tell you all about it when I make the move and explain my reasonings. But that's not the purpose of this. The reason that I wanted to make this is to explain that these things can happen anytime, anywhere, to anyone, and I say that a lot. And you're never going to know when it's going to happen, so therefore you never know when you're going to need it. This is, driving, going through life without carrying is like driving across the country without a spare tire and a tire jack. You're relying on, if you have a problem, if you need it, you might be able to go coast to coast and never need it. But if you need it and don't have it, you're relying on the next stranger that comes along. Is that where you want to put the safety of you and your family? Okay. So in case I didn't complete that thought, because I have a tendency, one thought leads to another, and then I go with it. Get proficient with the gun. You should be able to handle anything. So shy away from these people who will tell you, well, you need a gun that you're comfortable with. Get a gun and get comfortable with it. Okay. It's a tool. And just like, you're not going to build a house with a tack hammer. Well, maybe you could. I don't know. It'd take you 10 times longer. 10 times more strikes, just like a 9mm will more. Oh, here comes the guy that says, but it's all about shot placement. You know who that guy is? He's a guy who's never tried to defend himself while he's being shot at. Because he doesn't have any idea what somebody shooting at you will do to your shot placement. So anyway, be careful who you listen to about these things, but do assume the responsibility for your own safety and security, and the responsibility for those who depend on you. And carry all the time. If you don't, I suggest you do. You will make the world a safer place. You may not have to defend your people. You might be someplace that you're able to save somebody else's life. Wouldn't you want to be able to do that? So get a gun, get some training. You don't have to become some pistol champion. Be able to handle it. More people have defended themselves, and I can't swear to the figures on this. Let me just put it this way, because somebody will come on and say, well, I looked it up, and the FBI figures say this and that. Don't live your life according to FBI figures, for crying out loud. I just tell you this, that a whole lot of people with absolutely no training have successfully defended themselves against attacks. Okay? How about that? So get a gun. Get proficient at it. Carry it. Carry it all the time. Be responsible for your own safety and welfare and the others around you, okay? All right. There is no safe place, folks, in this world. There is no safe place. And you have to realize that. A place is only as safe as luck or you make it. Okay, so there's going to be another one of these coming along. There's going to be another. Who knows? Maybe this, if this is one of those things that we all wonder about, maybe it was a shotgun used so that they can start. So either so Uncle Joe can to say, see how effective a shotgun is, or to include the shotguns in the guns that they want to ban, right? Okay. Hey, do your best. Get out there and be responsible for yourself. That's what preparedness is all about. And like we always say, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And 3 weeks until the gathering. Looking forward to seeing all of you out there. It's going to be a good time. And the rest of you who can't make it, we'll miss you. Hopefully see you next year. And get out there. Think about this. Think about how you would feel if you ever need that gun and don't have it. All right. Y'all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.